things tonight, some scriptures I didn't share Sunday, a recap of a little bit from Sunday, and then add a little bit to that as well. And then it's a couple of announcements we got to work on. Got some things coming up. Everybody's got to be more or less on the same page in order for things to go smoothly. So Mark chapter 10, begin with verse 35. Yeah, I'll be reading from the New Living Translation, but you can follow along. It said, then James and John. So we're talking about the disciples. They were the sons of Zebedee. They came and spoke to him, to Jesus. Teacher. Hey, get this. Now, teacher, they said, we want you to do us a favor. Jesus said, what is your request? They replied, when you sit on your glorious throne, we want to sit in places of honor next to you. One on your right and the other on your left. Now, how about the rest of the disciples? Jesus said, you don't even know what you're asking. Are you able to drink from the bitter cup of suffering I'm about to drink? Are you able to be baptized with the baptism of suffering I must be baptized with? Now, I'm going to stop there. Look in your Bible, doesn't make any difference what translation is. Just before verse 35, what's happening in the Bible? What is Jesus talking about? Take a minute. Tell me one of the last things he was talking about before this begins.
He predicted his death.
Okay. So he's talking about his death. What are they talking about?
Heaven and glory. Talking about themselves.
They're talking about themselves. Exactly. He's talking about his death. And they want to know if they can sit beside him. All right, I just want you to think about it a little bit. He says, are you able to be baptized with the baptism of suffering I must be baptized with? Oh, yes. They replied, we're able. Then Jesus told them, you will indeed drink from my bitter cup and be baptized with my baptism of suffering. But I have no right to say who will sit on my right or left. God has prepared those places for the ones he has chosen. When the 10 other disciples heard. So see, you can have that kind of discussion. Other people are going to hear about it. How do you think it went over with them when they were looking for the ones of promise? 12, 2 said, we want to be here. No consideration about what the other 10 thought. It was all about themselves. They said when they heard, they became indignant. They were not happy at all. So Jesus called them together and said, you know that the rulers in this world lord it over their people, and officials flaunt their authority over those under them. But among you, he was speaking to all of them, among you it will be different. Whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant. And whoever wants to be first among you must be the slave of everyone else. You just throw this in there. A slave has no rights. None. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. All right, so take time to go back over that. I like the way it's written in Luke. Luke chapter 22, verse 24. Luke 22, verse 24. Then they began to argue among themselves about who would be the greatest among them. They started arguing over who was going to be the greatest among them. Jesus, again, he told them, in this world the kings and great men lord it over their people. Yet they are called friends of the people, but among you it will be different. Those who are the greatest among you should take the lowest rank, and the leader should be like a servant. Who is more important, the one who sits at the table or the one who serves? The one who sits at the table, of course, but not here. Not here, not in this kingdom. In the worldly kingdom, it's the one who sits at the table, but in God's kingdom, it's the one who serves. And Jesus says, I am among you as one who serves. If anybody had the authority to talk about greatness, it was Jesus, not the disciples. Yet they were arguing over who or which of them was going to be the greatest. Do you think Jesus thought that was going to be an issue throughout all of time? It wasn't just for that one situation. It's for all of time. It's for today. And the very same thing can happen. If you think about anything we've talked about in the last 2 or 3 weeks, what got them in trouble? What caused them to start thinking about who was going to be the greatest? What? Selfishness. What else went along with selfishness? Pride. So Jesus gives an example of being prideful. Jesus, we want to sit next to you. We want to be greater than the other 10. We want to be sitting close to the high seat. We want to be served. And Jesus said in God's kingdom, the greatest is the least. Jesus was saying, you still have the worldly view of greatness. I'm here to teach you about God's kingdom view of greatness. So a short recap of what the world thinks or how the world measures greatness is by power, who and what we control. That's the worldly standard for greatness. The more people, the more projects we control, means we have more power, means we're greater. If I can have more people under my authority, and if I can have more projects than anybody else, I'll be the greatest. The world also measures greatness by possessions. How much we have. How much we have. That's what the rat race is about. I've got to have more than my neighbor. I've got to have more. Well, what's Christ's attitude about power and possessions? Christ already had all the power. And he created everything. And everything is his. So he already had all possessions. He already had it all. But did he flaunt it? And did he use it? Did he lord it over everyone else? It says the earth is the Lord's and everything in it. The world and all its people belong to him. All of that, and he left all of that for us, to redeem us, to restore us into the relationship, to save us. All right, the world position. The world thinks of greatness by the position that we have. How high are we on the ladder? You can think of the corporate ladder. You can apply this in so many ways. Doesn't matter what you're involved in. I've got to be at the top of the ladder. And I want to say this, in and of itself, it's not a bad thing. It's just how you use your place on the ladder. Prestige. How many people look up to us? How many followers do we have on Facebook? How many likes do we have? Who has the most trophies? That's the worldly attitude. Christ's attitude on position and prestige. He gave up his divine privileges, as Philippians 2:7. All the position and the prestige that he had, he gave that up. And he took the humble position of a slave. No rights whatsoever. You just do what you're told to do. And he was born as a human being when he appeared in human form. All the divine privileges, the prestige, and the position as God, because he is God, he gave that up. He didn't flaunt it here on earth. He lived an example of being unselfish, of being a servant. Greatness was how Christ descended from his divine privileges, the throne, into servanthood here on earth. That's a guideline for us. Not to ascend to the toppest rank for the position, the power, the possessions, but just the opposite. He took on the nature of a human being, and not just a human being, but as a slave. And I mentioned Sunday, it was a bondservant. That was the lowest of the servants. The bondservant would even wait on the other servants, the lowest of the low. And you know, we did the example of washing the feet. And in the book, it went on a lot. I won't even use everything that he described, but Christ, if as a servant, he would clean the bathroom. He lived, he didn't just say he served. He did that as an example. He made himself nothing, yet he was God. I hope, I could do a whole study on that, but in the beginning was go back to John, 1 John. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. Speaking of Christ, he created everything. Jesus is God. And the whole divinity, he set aside those privileges and came to earth and put on the appearance of a human being, fully human, fully God. I know it's hard to understand, but dwell on actually, how did he live? Did he come here and live as a king? who expressed his power, he could have just snuffed everybody out. He didn't do that. He came as the suffering servant, as an example for us to follow. So we talk about discipleship. Jesus said, come in, what? Come in, follow me. And some people, it might be the beginning stage of thinking about it. It's not wrong, but some people, okay, I'm going to follow Christ. As long as I'm here, I'm going to follow him. I'm going to follow him to church on Sunday. I'm going to follow him to church on Wednesday night. As long as I follow him, as long as I'm going in the direction he's going, I'm good. Or am I? Do it like this. Follow me, walk this way, follow, or walk this way. Walk the same way I'm walking here on earth. I'm not talking about stride. Walk, his walk of life. Walk like me, not just behind me. Don't just follow me where I go. Walk like I walk. Live like I live. And to help us to understand Jesus is God, without getting too technical, but incarnate means the Word became flesh. The Word became flesh. Jesus is God in the flesh. What does Emmanuel mean? You sing it all the time. What does it mean? God with us. It's who with us? God with us. Who is he talking about? They shall call him Emmanuel. Who are they talking about? God with us. And the reason I spent a little bit of time on, God gave up his position and prestige and the power to come and live this way as an example for us to follow. And that was God. And look at what we did to him. Spit on him. Spit on him. Crucified. The most humiliating form of death was death on a cross, crucifixion. Lied about him, denied him. Would you deny God or lie about God if you saw him in his glory? But yet he is the example of love being expressed in serving. He is the example of being unselfish and humble. That's the example we ought to follow. I like that part about saying I am second, because that's what he did. All the privileges and prestige and the power that he had, he just put it to the side and says, okay, I'm second. That is second. I'm putting what you need the most that you can't do for yourself, I'm putting that first. So what does any of this mean? Are we doing that? Are we having that kind of attitude about each other? Do we have the attitude that we really want the best for each other? I mean, every member of this church, let's just start right here. We can't get it right here. It's going to be hard to take it out there. And folks, this is everything. This isn't everything. This is a humble spirit 24 hours a day. Now, no, we're going to make mistakes. We're human. We're going to make mistakes. But we're to strive to be like him. And if we're to walk this way, then we already know we're not walking the way we're supposed to walk. We have to admit that. But what do we have to do to walk more like him? And just think of what difference that the spirit of humility will make a difference in a church, in the workplace, in the school, in the homes. Really, what difference do you think? Did Jesus make a difference? He did it. It made a difference when he did it. And it's the Spirit of God living in us. Don't we believe it'll work? And is that something that we're missing? Because if we had it all right, would selfishness be as prominent as it is in the world today? So the world, one more, the productivity. The worldly view of greatness is how much we can produce. You know, talking about our achievements. How can I be the one with the most sales? Can I be the one that wins the most games? Can I be the one that has the most properties, or still going into possessions? I have, if I can just produce more to have more property, more homes, summer homes, 1, 2, 3, more vehicles. And what it's talking about is greatness determined by how much we can produce tangible items for other people to see. Is that the worldview of productivity? What's Christ's view of productivity? Well, what did he accomplish? What did he accomplish? He accomplished a lot of great things, didn't he? Bless you. But did he flaunt it? Or was he humble about it? He humbled himself in obedience to God. And he died a criminal's death on a cross. His productivity was greater than anyone's. But yet he did it with a humble servant's heart. And in humility, in his service was in obedience to God. This is the example we're to follow, to be humble like him, to serve not for another trophy, to serve in obedience to God. Because God says, if you love me, you will obey me. And Christ spent just these two, and there's so many more, when they started talking about greatness, he's talking about being a servant. So greatness as a Christian is going to have a lot to do with being that type of a servant. So think a minute. As a Christian, your productivity. And when I speak of productivity, I'm talking about obedience to God. What does he tell you to do, and are you obeying? He was obedient to death, humiliated. Humiliation did not stop him. Humiliated on the cross. He couldn't go any lower than that. But at the same time, he couldn't be any more obedient than that. So maybe you can just remember this. It's kind of a summary of greatness in God's kingdom. Power and possessions. The power and the possessions that God has given to you see those possessions and see the power that he has given you as gifts from him and be a good steward with them for his glory. Not the power and the possessions that you have to have control. God gives you the gifts, and we're to be good stewards of them. As far as position and prestige, I'm going to help you with this one. This one can be very difficult. Live for God's approval, not man's. Live for God's approval, not man's. And productivity, as far as God's kingdom and the one who is great, greatness is determined as far as productivity. Success is success in accomplishing God's will. You might want to write this down. Power and possessions that you have, use them as gifts to steward. Position and prestige, live for God's approval, not man's. Productivity is success in accomplishing God's will. Any questions?
Very difficult in the business world.
It is, and I'm getting ready to give you something, give all of us something that was very helpful in the book. That really, because actually, how do we do this? We know it's the right thing to do, but how do we do it? Well, that's what we were talking about last week and before. You got to go into training. You really have to go into training. You can't keep living the way you're living and expect this just to happen. We have to train. We have to change our mindset to the mind of Christ. We have to have the attitude of Christ. So how do we do that? How do we train to be a servant? If you really want to be a servant, that's why this book is written. And that's why these helps I'm getting ready to give you all here to help. It's not all of it, but it's a really good start to it. And it's going to make you think, and you're going to say, well, I can't get past the first one. That's all right. Maybe you have to go to the second one or the third one. Really, go somewhere. Training is training. You start somewhere, but train. So the 3 characteristics of a servant, and you might be able to add a lot more. Just try these 3. Servant. No job is too low. No job is too low. No job or position, and let's just right here. You can apply this at the workplace. Right here. No job or position, place of service in the church, God's church, is too low. And think about Jesus, how he approached people. He didn't think any person was too low for him to minister to. Nobody was too low for him to minister to. And it really wasn't tasks that was beneath him. That's why he washed the feet of the disciples. That was unheard of. So, if you come here and you see trash on the ground, what do? Call the building grounds? Pick it up. If you see tables to be moved, go tell the hostess committee and they'll move them for you. Oh, folks, it's so easy to do. I've done it. I have been so busy talking to someone and somebody else doing something. And I've watched people older than me, and at the time, much less capable, not quite as capable as I used to be, and just ignore it. And it happens here. I see it. It's because of the human nature. If the chairs need to be moved, help. If the dishes need to be washed, if they'll let you in the kitchen, you got to be careful with that one. I don't think they'd run you out, though, if you volunteer for that. All right, so the first characteristic is that no job is too low. The second one, here we go. No recognition is required. It didn't say some recognition is required. It said no recognition is required. I'll just share from the book. True servants don't need to post their service on social media or get a pat on the back for what they do, because they aren't doing it for affirmation. They are doing it to affirm and help other people, period. And you might say, well, Doug, that's great. But I keep going back because the world has taught me, I understand that. Write this down. And the next time you catch yourself wanting to be recognized, look at this. It may help the next time. That's why it's called training. And these two go together. The third one is no thanks are required. No recognition is required, but no thanks is required. And why? Because they're a servant. The bondservant, he didn't expect for the master to say thank you. The servant served. There was no thank you. The servant served. Go back. The bondservant, the lowest, he just did what they were told to do because they were the servant. It doesn't say that you can't appreciate people. It doesn't say that. But if you're doing it so that you are thanked and to be recognized, it's not the mindset of the servant. If you have the attitude of Christ in serving, you know that God sees everything you do. And that's enough. Christ knew that God the Father saw everything he did. And that was enough. So jot them down. I'll go to the next three and then I'll stop. 3 characteristics of a servant: no job is too low, no recognition is required, and no thanks is required. Now, how to put it into practice. The 3 practices of a great servant. Now, I think you're going to get this one. The 3 practices of a great servant. Number 1, they observe needs. How many have ever been to a nice restaurant and you never have to ask the server to bring you water, bring you bread, or fill you a cup of coffee? Because they're always looking to meet your need. They are observing your needs. You don't have to ask them. They are a great server. They are a great servant. Great servant. Observe needs. They look for it. They look for it. They take initiative. They don't wait for a plea for help. When they see the need, they take initiative without being asked. They see the need, they take the initiative. They do what needs to be done. Will it always go as smooth as you like? Nope, some will reject you. That's the way the world is. But this is the mind of a servant. Instead of making up all kinds of excuses not to, they see the need, they do it. And they don't draw attention to themselves. And would you agree that Jesus got a lot of attention? He did. But he didn't stand there and point, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. He wasn't really flashy about it. He didn't seek it. He trusted God to accomplish his purposes through him being a servant. And God took care of all of that. He didn't do it to draw attention, but he drew attention because of what God was doing through him. Basically, he said, I'll just serve. God will take care of me. So that's the practice of a great servant. Observe needs, take the initiative, and don't draw attention to yourself. Now what the world going to teach you? Now, I think there's quite a few people with some of these qualities. But to have them all, they're few to come by. But I'm pretty sure God has put at least one, maybe a handful of people with that attitude. And I can think of one I've known for a long time. They've never done anything for recognition. And they've never had the attitude that that task is below me. And a lot of times they're not even thanked. And it's one of those impressions that people will make on you, and they're not even trying to do it. It's this, everything I've shared with you tonight, it's this being lived out in real life. And it looks just like what he described. Just like Christ. He did it because he came as a servant. They do it because they come as a servant. They're following the way of Christ. They're not looking for recognition. They just do it. Whether or not they're thanked. And just like Christ, many people just reject it. It's the answer to who wants to be the greatest in the kingdom? The one who serves. And that's the type of love that the Bible speaks about. That's the type of love that this book is speaking about. Let me ask one question. I'll stop with that. That's where I'm going to go next with this. Y'all will probably know, what is it? I had it in my mind and I went to think about it and lost it. You ever sing, y'all sing, have we sang it, Serve the Lord with Gladness? Sing it, familiar with that hymn? Serve the Lord with gladness. That's what I thought about while I was preparing all this. How many times I've sung that in the church. Maybe I'll text Diane, maybe we'll sing it Sunday. Because all of this, even though it's a different lifestyle, we got to train to do it. It's not just serving. Well, I did it, Doug. No, that's great. That's a good start. The same for me. He said, oh, yeah, I see, I know you're trying. But can you do it with gladness? And that's where we're going to go next. Let me pray, and then we'll have our prayer concerns. Father, the way of your kingdom is not the way of this world. The way of this world is ingrained in us. And we've become accustomed to it. And you've called us to be in the world, but not of the world. You've taught us to pray for your kingdom come. Your will to be done here on earth as it is in heaven, and yet we still want to do it the worldly way. And if we don't get this love thing straight, then who are we? Lord, I thank you for the study. I thank you for the servants' hearts we have here. So many serve, and I know you see all of it. But remind us that it's not just to do it here when we're at church. It's to do it at home and at work every day of our lives, whether we're working or retired, no matter what age we are. You've called us to live this type of life. And oh, what a better place this world would be if we would. Speak to us individually, Lord. Show us what this is to look like in our individual lives. And help us not to walk just in the right direction, but to walk the way you would have us to walk. In Christ's name I pray. Amen.
When I read that scripture about the sons of Zebedee going and asking Jesus, all I envision is an Italian mother behind him saying, now you go.
Well, the mother,
And you go and you make sure.
it's exactly, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's exactly what was going on. Because the mom was involved too. She wanted it just as bad as they did. That's good. I'm glad. You read, you'll see it. All right, Todd, you can sign us off. Let me address a couple things. We got prayer concerns.